My name is Katie Simons. I am one of the founders of Beaux Consulting and a supportive housing consultant. Beaux is a small women-owned organization based here in Denver, but we have staff in Minnesota as well as on the Western Slope and in Boulder. And we really just help communities bring more permanent supportive housing and resources to people in need in their communities. So we've been doing this for, collectively over 60 years with our team, and are really excited to support the work that's being done both here in Colorado and in about 12 other states around the country that we work in. Yeah, supportive housing essentially combines, affordable rental housing with supportive services. And so supportive housing really is intended to serve people who are very low income, and so earning, less than 30% of area median income. That's in Denver, it's about $30,000 or so for one person if they're earning less than that. And people who have typically had higher barriers to getting into and maintaining housing. So people experiencing homelessness or housing instability who really are very low income, typically have a disability, and typically need those supportive services to help them get into housing and really maintain their housing and then hopefully thrive in housing. And so supportive housing is intended to be as independent as possible. I mean, people have a lease, they pay rent, they would never pay more than 30% of their income towards the rent. And when people are ready, they engage with the case managers and peers and other staff who are there to support them really any time of the day. I originally started working with the Dolores Project as a shelter, and that dates back, I would say now, about 15 years ago. And then I really started consulting on my own in about 2014, 2015. And interestingly enough, that's actually when when I crossed paths with Zoe Beaux, my business partner. I came in and Zoe and I started working together, I think in late 2015, 2016. And I had known Terrell previously. I had known the work of the Dolores Project. And so I continued to support that project throughout its inception of, from concept to development through construction and then opening. This is an environment that the people who have stayed at the Dolores Project as a guest are trusting of because they know the staff who are there. And it's a beautiful transition opportunity for people to move out of shelter when they are ready and into a very supportive environment where they're going to have more independence. They're going to be able to live in an area that's their own, a place where they can call home, where they have their own bedroom, they have their own bathroom, they have their own kitchen, yet they're still going to receive those ongoing supports from the staff at the Dolores Project. We have had people visit Denver from different states, and they want to go and tour the Arroyo Village. They have heard of Arroyo Village as a model, and people are constantly seeking that kind of innovative model out that combines shelter with supportive housing and workforce housing, right? It's a really unique model, right, where you've got supportive housing units built directly on top of a shelter. The shelter as well was the first trauma-informed designed shelter that I know of in the country. I just remember when some of the women who had been previous shelter guests got back to the renovated shelter for the first time, and they just cried because they saw that these mirrors, right, that were in the bathroom, that were situated in front of individual chairs that they could sit in, was such a dignified type of design that might feel very minor to the rest of us. But to them, I think what I heard was that they felt seen, right, for the first time in a very long time. And they actually felt deserving of being in this incredibly beautiful and dignified space. And it really provides a space, I believe, for people to begin their healing journey. And again, what's unique is that, you can really see this progression, right, of somebody who comes in who has a need for emergency shelter and is there for as long as they need to be. But with the transition, right, that Dolores Project has put into place, where they're really working with people as quickly as possible to transition them out of shelter to housing, you literally have apartments right upstairs. We meet people where they are, and we offer them a place that is dignified, and it doesn't matter what you look like or how you present to us. We're going to open our doors and welcome you. And I just have felt that, Dolores has always been willing to do the hard work, even when it hasn't been easy. And running a shelter and building a supportive housing project is not easy. For me, I still think of it as a little house, right? That was, overflowing, right? And they always opened their doors, right? And they never said no. And it was something to me that really stuck with me, that this was an organization that was going to show up. I'm honored to receive this award. I'm so honored to be, a friend of the Dolores Project. It's the place where if anybody in the community asks me, where can we volunteer? What can we do to, help people experiencing homelessness? The Dolores Project is always at the top of mind, right? You can go and serve meals, right? You can go and actually meet people and walk alongside them and, maybe sit down and just share a cup of coffee or a hot cup of tea and to learn from people. And I feel like that is the way in which we are going to, start to look at homelessness differently. I hope is that people actually start to understand the circumstances behind one's homelessness, and they start to see people as real human beings, right? That this is somebody's mother or somebody's aunt or somebody's niece, and I think it can really change the mindset for a lot of people. Dolores is amazing in terms of the volunteer network that it has created. Again, getting the word out there that this is really a unique shelter that offers services in a way that no other shelter in Denver does. I have to say, the Dolores Project is honestly one of my favorite, nonprofits, one of my favorite organizations in Denver.